Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Saturday afternoon stream, Saturday, May 17th. And it doesn't look really like we have anybody here just yet. So, what I did forget to do was set up the comments in H2R graphics. So, I'll do that now while I'm waiting for a few people to arrive. And hopefully, by the time I do that, we'll have a few folks in the chat. So, hopefully everyone, if you are here, are doing well. Let me get this chat set up real quick. Let's see. It says we have 2 people here. And I am not one of the 2. So, let me see if I can get this chat working. It's hit or miss with bringing up the chat on screen. It looks like it's working. And we have a viewer. We have Tech for Fun, Joe from Tech for Fun here. Welcome, Joe. Let's see if we get this up on the screen. There we go. So yes, I am alive. So there are 2 people here. And I know, Joe, you are one of them. Hopefully, we'll get a few more people here. So this is not a short stream, so to speak. You're not working today? Or are you listening while you work? By the way, how does the audio sound? I cranked it up a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm not clipping because Mr. Tim Tech watched the last live stream before I came up north. He watched the replay and he had mentioned to me that the pre-roll audio was a bit hotter than the actual microphone. So I adjusted the pre-roll audio down a bit and adjusted the microphone up a bit. So yeah, so hopefully we got a better balance. I don't know if you got to see the pre-roll or hear any of it, but we're good to go. Well, it says we have 3 people here and 2 likes. So if you are here, folks, please say hello and let me know you're here. Joe says, not working right now. Thought I was off, but Ashley told me I have to film tonight. And the mic sounds good. Cool. 3 people here, 3 likes. Let's see, maybe some of the other regulars will pop in, like Jeremy and TVJ, if TVJ is available. I don't know if TVJ is back. I know he was traveling for work this week. Not sure if he's back or not. But yeah. So it is 90. Let's see what the exact temperature is. It's hot here. It's hot and humid. It's stifling right now. Let's see what the temp is weather-wise. Right now it's 87 going up to 92 today. Hot and humid. Super uncomfortable. When you walk out, it just hits you like in the face. So yeah, YouTube really wants to tank me. I have nobody here, right? Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go through whatever I want to go through anyway, even if no one else shows up. It says we have 3 people here, and I'm not one of them, so there are 2 other people here. So again, folks, if you're here, say hello in the chat so we know. What did I want to go over today? Well, I have a new device that I received from a company. They reached out prior to me going up north. So I figured I would unbox it and become familiar with it today here. I got to do it anyway, so I might as well do it live. Hey, Grish, welcome. Thanks for joining. Hope all is well with you. And this on this Saturday afternoon. So let's see. Well, Joe, since it's just you, me, and Grish at this point, I'll recap the week since I've been back. And for if you don't know, I was up in New Jersey, then Connecticut. I worked a corporate event with Joe and his cronies up there, and that was fun. I did the switching for iMag at the event, and it was a cool setup. We had a lot of gear there. Got to work the ATEM micro panel, the Bluetooth controller. I was controlling the ATEM 2ME in the rack, which was really cool. It was my first time with hands on the micro controller, and I was pretty impressed with it. It was very, very responsive. Now, we did have it connected via USB, but even prior to the event, when we were just testing things out, we were working with it wirelessly, and it was still pretty responsive. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I worked, like I said, I worked the video switching. Joe was working the audio. I think there was something like 6 or 7 wireless microphones. I think he had three wireless fly packs there, 3 racks of the receivers. So yeah, 2 cameras, a wide shot and a close up. So it was fun. It was a neat experience. Look forward to doing it again. So that was on Tuesday. Wednesday, we did another small gig. Well, I really didn't. I just kind of tagged along and went for the ride. But it was fun to meet the folks that he was working with. And then Thursday, I flew home. Got home Thursday evening, and it's been a whirlwind, though. I was like exhausted from that trip. Hey, Sean, thanks for joining. Sean Woods is here. Appreciate you, Sean, for stopping in. So we have about 5 people here and 4 likes. Since I've been back, I have been focusing in a lot and trying to hone in on my drone flying skills, because kind of made a decision that I was going to try to earn some money with what was a hobby. I do have my Part 107 FAA certified, but I was really just flying for fun the last couple of years. I think I've had my Part 107 now. This is going on my 5th year, or I'm in my 5th year. So yeah, so I've been pretty much flying every day since I've been back, except for the days that it rained. So yeah, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. And yes, this is true. Joe pushes my hobbies into services in this, and he also likes to spend my money. Yes, it's always fun spending other people's money, but I'm glad we did, and I'm glad I did. So, been having fun setting it up. I've already talked to a couple of builders. I have one builder interested. He wants me to put together, costs and packages, and so I'm excited about it. And again, even if I do it on a part-time basis, that's perfectly fine. Hello from Sweden. Wow, only 50 degrees Fahrenheit here. I'm going to try to not butcher your name. Is it Zahn or Tazan Larson? Welcome. I think this is the first time I've seen you here, so I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you stopping in and leaving a message in the chat. So that's what's been going on here. Again, it's super, super hot. We had an interesting event occur last evening. We were sitting around watching TV. It was around 7:30, and we heard this massive boom. The whole house shook. Literally, the whole house shook, like to the point where all the neighbors were outside, like wondering what happened. And I literally thought, because we have a golf course in behind me, and we're in the airport, the international airport's flight path. A lot of the times they'll bring the planes over, because the airport's only literally 15 minutes away, a 15-minute drive from the house. As we were watching TV, we felt this, heard this massive boom, and then felt this shake. And I swear I thought maybe an aircraft crashed in the backyard on the golf course, or a helicopter or something, because helicopters fly over constantly as well. But nothing was out there. All the neighbors were out looking around. So we found out that there was a house explosion literally in this community where I live in Magnolia Greens, literally a mile and a half from us. And I tell you, it felt like a sonic boom. It was literally unbelievable. They said 2 people were injured. Fortunately, to now, what we know up to now is there are no injuries, which is a good thing. No deaths, rather. There were 2 people injured, I should say. And so we're just hoping for the best for everybody. I have a couple of screenshots of the incident that I downloaded that I screen captured off of Facebook. Just show you what I'm talking about here. They said 1 cat was missing, but again, as of this point, they said no deaths. So let me switch over to this. So this was around 7:30 last evening, and it's in a series of townhome units, and you see the unit right here in the middle. It blew up. They're saying gas explosion, but they haven't really confirmed that yet. You can see all the first responders on the scene. They said 4 or 5 units connecting are also, damaged. Let me zoom in on that a little bit so you can get a better look at what's going on there. And then here's another shot from another angle. They said there was debris all over the place. Ashes were flying, nails all over the place. It was something. And here's a little bit later. You can see the crews you can see the skies are getting a little darker. Crews are still on the scene. And then here, again, just another shot. So I haven't been down there. Like I said, it's literally within walking distance. If you under 2 miles is what you consider walking distance, but that was scary. It's like we had no idea what the heck that was. So at least we found out. So anyway, yeah, the house blew up. Like I said, they think it was a gas explosion, but they haven't confirmed. Don't think I didn't think about it. But we've had wildfires which had burned for a week and a half. They started prior to me coming up to New Jersey and Connecticut, and they burned the whole week I was gone. Fortunately, the last 4 days or so, we've had some severe rains, and at one point they said it was 83% contained from all the rains, and I haven't heard anything on the news about it. So I'm assuming at this point, because the news isn't talking about it anymore, that it's 100% contained and not an issue anymore. But the reason I bring that up in response to your question is a lot of the on the news they were pleading with people to not fly the drones in the area of the fires because it was impeding the first responders and things like that. So yes, I did think about putting the drone up, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want to be one of those people, so to speak. Don't eat Taco Bell, people. That's what it leads to. Oh my gosh. Hey Keith, how are you? Thanks for joining. I did watch your stream the next day and appreciated it. So again, thanks for sharing with everybody your knowledge. Gris says, in the California fire just a few months ago, a tanker hit a drone and it did crazy damage. Wow. And Joe's like, I'd be one of those people. something tells me I believe you. But yeah. So that's what's been going on here. Aside from that, let's see. Got the drone business going on, trying to work on a website, trying to capture some footage to put on the website. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that and having fun with it now. So I guess I do have Joe to thank for nudging me in that direction. And the whole time I was with him, he kept saying, come on, buy the drone. Now, I had a drone, but I wanted to buy a newer one because the drone I have the Mavic Air 2. It doesn't have built-in remote ID. So you have to put an external module on it. And it's really a hassle to fly with it, to add the module to the drone each time, fire it up, make sure the battery's charged, and then also to use your cell phone attached to the controller. So I ended up going for a new drone, but Joe was wishing that I had pulled the trigger while I was with him. And I did as soon as I got home. And I guess I thought about that today, Joe. And one of the reasons why I didn't pull the trigger was I needed to be convinced in my own head that if I'm going to spend this money, I got to make a commitment to trying to do something with it and not just have it for the sake of having it. And I guess thinking and flying home and looking out the window and taking pictures with my phone as we approached landing and things like that. Actually, I got a decent picture of, well, not a decent picture, but I got a decent aerial view of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which is really cool. I would show it on the stream, but it's really like you really got to know what you're looking for to actually see it. But it was pretty cool. But I just made that commitment when I got home that yes, I will at least pursue it, at least on a part-time basis. So hence why I didn't just pull the trigger while I was up there. So, and let's see, that's pretty much it for getting caught up. So let's see, I just saw Keith says slow trigger pulling can be wise at times. Yes, Keith, and I have a tendency to be one of those people that normally doesn't think things through a lot of times. If there's something, usually if there's a new toy out there that I want, whether I'm going to make money with it or not, I usually go ahead and jump. But this time I really did think it through. So it took me to being in the air to realize, yeah, kind of, I guess, so to speak. So anyway, that said, company by the name of Orico reached out to me before I went up north and asked if I wanted to review their product, which I have here. Sorry about that. And this is the Orico Mini Tower SSD Docking Station Model M435. It says that it's one-stop storage and dock for the Mac Mini, and it seems to be optimized for the M4. However, I wrote back to the rep over at Orico and said, well, listen, I don't have an M4 Mac Mini, so like I don't really know if it's something I could, honestly give an opinion on. I said, I do have an M1 Mac Studio. And she said, well, no, it's, it's fine. You could do it with that. And so I said, okay. And honestly, it does say here on the box, even though it has the pretty colors and it's made out of the aluminum alloy and the apple silver and all that to match the Mac Mini line of products, it does say on the box here that systems supported Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and Android. So It's apparently not a Mac only device, which is kind of cool. So I figured I'd get it unboxed and show it to you, see if we can get it set up and test it out. They unfortunately, when I agreed to do this, I asked them to send me hard drives. It's a 2-bay docking. It's a 2-bay storage docking station. It houses full-size hard drives, 3.5 or 2.5 hard drives or SSDs, and it also has one NVMe M2 slot. So, but they wouldn't. They said they couldn't send the drive. So, unfortunately, I don't have an NVMe drive available to test that aspect of it. But I do have two older 3.5-inch hard drives that I took out of some HP towers that I discarded recently. So they're not large drives. They're only 250 gig drives. But for just doing this and testing the unit, I figured that would be okay. So what we get inside the box, let me switch over to this other camera. All right, so inside the box, you get another box, and inside that box, you get what looks like a 6-inch USB-C cable. The cable for the power supply. Let me just make this, bring that in just a little bit. The actual power supply itself. And I have not taken anything out of the box. I did open the box just to get the instructional manual out so that I can read through it to familiarize myself a little bit with the unit. But other than that, nothing else has come out of the box. And I did take some notes so that I can speak somewhat intelligently on it. So it does come with the power adapter, which is 12 volt, 5 amp power adapter. It does have a magnetic screwdriver. It comes with its own screwdriver. It comes with screws to attach the hard drives. Comes with everything but the hard drive. It comes with a USB-A to a USB-C cable. It comes with a thermal pad for the SSD drive, which again, we're not going to be able to use today because I don't have an NVMe SSD drive. And it comes with what they call a cooling jacket. It's more like a heat sink in a sense. And concept is you put this on the NVMe drive, you stick it on, and then you put the jacket on for cooling. So that's what comes in the small box. And then the only other thing in the box is the actual device itself. So and the back cover to where the NVMe drive goes just came off. So we'll put that back in like that. Well, there you go, right off the bat. I'm going to do a review on this, and the cover pops off. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me just get some stuff out of the way so we can go through this. So looking at the device itself on the front, let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So on the front, you got your power on and off, little status light indicator. This is a USB 2.0 port. This is a USB 3.2 port, supports 10 gigabits per second. Then you have an SD card slot and a micro SD card slot. On the back of the unit, you have your USB. It's also a 10 gigabit per second USB slot to connect to the computer. Your power in for the power port, power adapter. Then you have two more USB 2.0 ports, a reset hole, and then this right here, these switches manage your RAID configurations. It supports 4 kinds of RAID, which we'll talk about. On the bottom of the unit, you can see it follows that Mac Mini format with the intake venting. Again, it's made out of the aluminum alloy. And then the top cover is magnetic and it just lifts off. Convenient, I guess, but it seems to come off pretty, like slide off pretty easily. But I guess once the drives are in, you're not going to touch it. So we have that, and then we just pull out the drive trays, and you can put in, there are holes to mount 2.5 or 3-inch drives. So we're going to do that in a second. If I can get this back in, there we go. So that's the unit itself. Now let's go back to me for a second. There we go. And let's see what we got in the comments, if we have any more comments before we continue. So not really. Joe says the guy with $50,000 in Personas gear. So, and Keith's smiling. So anyway, that's the unit itself. Again, it measures about 7 inches in height by 5 inches or so in width, cube each side, and then it's got rounded corners. It's pretty lightweight. Well, again, it's driveless right now. So there you go. So what I have is, I got to be careful how I bend. I hurt my back last night. Well, Thursday we took a ride to Myrtle Beach Bike Week. So I spent all day in the saddle on Thursday, and then yesterday, Lisa and I added 24 low voltage garden lights to the front of the house, and I think the combination of riding and being in the saddle all day on Saturday, and then bending over and probably not bending over properly, instead of using my legs, I was bending over with my, putting strain on my lower back. I really did a number on my lower back. So I'm not crippled, but boy, I tell you, it sucks getting old. But okay, so what I have here, yeah, there's air shocks on the bike, Keith, but still, I think it has more to do with being, as I creep higher into my 60s, although I'm not over the hump yet. I'm 63. I'm not in my upper 60s, but I think as each year goes by, it just takes less and less to send me out of whack. So I have two 250 gig hard drives here. One is a Western Digital Blue, again, which is probably not ideal for the situation, and the other is a Seagate. They're both 7,200 RPMs. I took them out of 2 old HP Towers that I discarded, and all I've done to these drives, and I didn't even know I was getting, this was prior to getting this, all I did with these drives after I took them out was initialize them using exFAT format. So we'll see what happens when I insert them. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, let's put that there. Well, we have 5 people here and 5 likes, so I guess I can't complain. So let's do this. Let's take the first drive and let's put it in here like that. The whole seam to line up, no problem. Let's get the screws out. Yep, they are. It is magnetic, which is cool. Oops. Let's get the first one started. So I guess there's advantages and disadvantages to magnetic screwdrivers. Let's get you in there. Come on. Kind of have to hold it in place. There we go. Okay, that's one. The other problem is having larger fingers. Let's not strip that out. Come on. There we go. Nope. Seriously? There we go. No. Well, we're going to make it work. It's called rethreading. All right. Let's get 2 more. I know. Sorry if this is boring. But like I said, I was going to do this anyway. Might as well just go live since I wasn't live last week. There we go. There we go. That's that one. One more. Do I really need to put the 4th one in for testing? Nah. I mean, if I was installing it permanently, yes, but that's going to be fine for now. Let's do the second one real quick. I'll switch back to me. All right. Let's take a look at the comments there. Keith says, I'm not bored. Well, thanks, Keith. Appreciate that. There we go. I'll go over to, remind me to go over to dip switches and the different kinds of RAID once I get these in. There we go. All right. And again, I'll just do 3 for now. Let me put these in here so I don't lose them. I saw Jeremy did a stream last night over cellular, which is pretty cool. He is committed, I will say that much. All right, so yep, that's the right way. So we're going to line it up, slide it in until it clicks. Line it up, slide it in. There we go. And then the top goes on. By the way, what I failed to mention was on the back, right here, you have venting. So you have your intake down here and you have your blowing out here. That's what this is right here. So, okay, so we got that. Let's get it fired up. Let's see. Before I fire it up, let's just go over link to Jeremy's channel. Sure, hold on one second. It is...
I could
right. Let me back up real quick. There we go. Here you go, Keith. Okay, so that's that. We talked about the house explosion. So what was I doing here? Okay, let me switch this camera back to here. All right, so on the back, you have your dip switch settings. So you have four types of RAID. And so you have what they call PM normal, which both switches have to be in the down position, like that. And so according to Oracle, for them, PM normal is both drives would be treated as independent drives. So obviously there's no redundancy. Then you do have, let me just grab a paper clip. Then you have RAID 0, which is the left one down and the right one up. And obviously, again, no redundancy, but it does double the read-write speeds, which we will check out if I can get this thing fired up. We'll run some disk speed tests. And then you have RAID 1, which is your left button up and your right button. Actually, wait a minute, I did it backwards. RAID 0 is left up and right down. I apologize. And then RAID 1 is left down and right up. And then if you put both up, it's JBOD, just a bunch of disks, any size drives. Again, no redundancy. So of the four, the most secure would be the left down and the right up, which is your RAID 1. It's not going to have the fast read-write speeds like RAID 0. It's going to be slower, probably, I bet you 50% in half, but you do have redundancy, whereas you have mirrored drives in this unit. So those are the four RAID types. And I did learn a lot about this device, at least reading through the little owner's manual. This is, I will say, this is one of the few owner's manuals that I could say was, it's pretty thick. Now it comes in multiple languages, but I will say it was pretty thorough as far as gaining an understanding for the actual device itself. So now I have to figure out, my Mac Studio is off to my left here. So let me see if I can do this. I have a very tight space. Let me move a few things around. You might not get to see it. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with, let's go back in here. It's going to be hard with this little cable for me to show you flipping the switches to go to the different RAIDs. But let's start with both of them down, which is their PM normal. So that should give us two independent drives with no redundancy. So sorry, you can't see. Well, actually, maybe you could see this. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's zoom in on, let me get this out of the way. Okay. So what I'm doing is just connecting the USB-C to USB-C. Yeah, that magnetic lid they probably should come up with a little bit better design. All right, so I have the USB-C to USB-C cable connected. Let me get the power going. A PTZ camera did come in handy for something. How long are we live here for? 42 minutes? Perfect. All right. Let me get the power plugged in. And I'm going to fire it up. I heard it spin up. What's going on here? Let's see. No shock on the bike. Keith's not bored. We gave him the link to Jeremy's channel. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it. Look at that cool 2ME and Hyperdeck rack. Yep. Hyperdeck, the original Hyperdeck with the fill and key. This is the Web Presenter HD. And then, yeah, I have my Hyperdeck, my 2ME on top, then a bunch of AV gear, and yeah. So down low, you can't see it. I have an A10 Mini Pro ISO, but anyway. So let me see if this thing, yeah, so on my desktop, I see the two drives. Let's see. Let's go into, let me get this off the air. Let me go into disk utility now. And they should show up there so you guys can see that. I'll change screens as soon as I get this up. Okay, so let me swap screens real quick. What do I want to do? Do I want to go to Super Source? Sure, why not? All right, let's see if I can make this bigger. No, it doesn't let me zoom that on this. All right, so here's one of the discs here, and that's the external volume, and here's the other external volume. So theoretically, what I read in the owner's manual, right now, this is PM normal, where we have two individual discs. In order to set the RAID, you have to flip the dip switches in the back and then press the actual reset button for 3 to 5 seconds. And then we should see this change here. So it should change from 2 discs. So we're going to go, let's go to RAID 0 now, which is left up and right down. So we'll see. Okay, I have the left up and the right down. And now I'm going to hold the reset button. Let's see if things change on the screen. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but it changed from over here 2 discs. Now there's just 1. And it automatically gave me the prompt to either eject, ignore, or initialize. So let's initialize. And now you can see we have, it says uninitialized here. So let's go exFAT, and then let's just say, let's call this drive 1. Not rive 1, drive 1, Tony. And erase. Okay, so now we have drive 1, both combined for RAID 0. So we have the 250 now is one 500 gig drive. However, there's no redundancy. So now if I bring up, and where is it? If I bring up the Blackmagic speed test, disk speed test, excuse me, and if I select the target drive being the drive 1, and we start the speed test, now it's okay. It's not great. Again, these are older drives. I wish I had more current drives and bigger drives. So 216 megabytes. That's what it's writing at, and it's reading at roughly around 232. 240, 243, 244. Okay. So 244 read. Now the write is a little bit better on this time around. Again, I'm imagining it's just the older drives. I mean, like I said, I don't know what kind of really condition they're in, but then you could see down here on the bottom, will it work, and then how fast. So you could see it'll have problems at 2160, 60 frames per second, you know, and all the higher resolutions. So you're pretty safe you're definitely safe at 1080p, 30 and 60, 25, etc. So, all right, so that's that. So we're going to stop that test. Now, what we'll do is let's go change the dip switch settings. And let's keep an eye on this here. So we'll go now, that's RAID 0. So we'll go left down, right up, which is RAID 1. So this will give us some redundancy. It'll mirror, but we should get slower speeds. Okay, so the dip switches are set. Now I'm going to hold the actual reset button again for 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so should have seen it change here. Let's initialize. Okay. Let's erase. exFAT. Erase. Okay, I didn't give it a name, so it's untitled. And you can see now we're back to 250 gig. So now it's mirrored in RAID 1. So if we do the same speed test now, we should see slower speeds than we got with RAID 0. Let me just make sure I picked the right target. I'm going to pick untitled. No, that's my SSD drive. So this one is, that's my SD drive. My SD card is this is my SD card. This is the drive inside the Oracle. So now let's try to see what the speeds are now. Actually, we had a little burst in the beginning. I was thinking, oh, look at this, going against the grain here, but it's definitely slower. Yeah, definitely slow. I got to test this. I got to get drives. I got to give this its proper test run here. Yeah, definitely. I got to get better drives to give this a good test drive. But at least to test it out, to get the idea of how it works and all, pretty happy with the simplicity of use. While that's doing that, let's go back to the comments and see. Drum roll. Either everybody has fallen asleep or not interested. But okay, the read-write speed, yeah, it's definitely slower. And again, down on the bottom here, you could see what it will work with and how fast. So again, it is what it is. We get the idea. I am going to stop this. And Grish says, we are here. Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then the last setting would be just a bunch of discs. I almost said something else. And then we will do the same thing. And then I just want to measure the fan noise because I do hear the fan running. So we'll take a before with it off and with it on noise measurement. So let's see, both up, any size drives. Let's go put both of these up. Okay, I got both dip switches in the up position. Again, I'm going to hold the reset. Okay, and again, we get the initialize. And we're at a total of 500 again. Uninitialized, so it's, and let's call this drive 1 again. Actually, JBOD, erase. Okay, so there it is. So now let's come back to the speed test again. Let's pick JBOD. And let's see what we get. Again, we get a little burst in the beginning. Yeah, it's definitely taking its time. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, guys. Cleaning the garage and listening, mowing the lawn, listening, and picking up all those sticks. ASMR, yes. 137.7 read, right? And the read is around 134, 133. So yeah, I'm just going to stop the test now. We kind of get the idea. So 137 right and 134 for the read for the just a bunch of discs. So switching back to me on air. So that was the actual process was successful. I would have loved to seen better performance, but I really do think my bottleneck here is the older drives. So I'm going to have to get my hands on some drives before I got to do a video on this thing. So, and I want to give it a fair shake. So to be fair, I'm not going to use these drives that we used in the live stream, but in any event, the other thing I want to measure is the noise. So I'm going to load up my noise meter and kind of, now the unit's running right now. I don't know if you can see that, but it's around 44.6. Let me shut down the unit. So we can get a baseline without the unit. Okay, so with the unit off, it's 37.6. So 37.6 is the baseline noise level in the room. And that's with this rack over here. So the switch is running, the 2ME fan is running. So 37.6 bass and then 44.6 with the unit running. So not terribly horrible with the noise. I do want to bring it up here on the screen, show it to you. So on Amazon from the Oracle store, the unit sells at regularly $149.99. Right now they're having what they're calling their Memorial Day sale for $142.49. However, they gave me a discount code to share with my viewers that's good until June. Let's see. June 30th. So it began yesterday, May 16th. I believe this sale is not sure when the Memorial Day sale ends, but my discount code is good from now until June 30th. It's a 40% off code. So even at the regular price of let's say $150, 150 times 40%. So it'd be $60 off. So you're looking at $90 to get this 2-bay unit with the NVMe M.2 expansion docking station. And what it did not say in the manual anywhere, because I was looking for it, but I'm seeing it here, is you get a total, depending on the RAID configuration, of 56 terabytes. So it does support up to 24 terabyte hard drives, and the NVMe drive up to 8 terabytes. So again, depending on the RAID configuration, so there you have it. So anyway, let's go back to the comments and see if there's any more, and there are not. So we will probably be ending this stream soon. You guys getting your lawns cut and your closets cleaned or whatever. So garage is cleaned and listening. Memorial Day sale. Yep, exactly, my friend. Exactly. So, so that's about it. That's about all she wrote. We did go an hour, which is kind of like I'm finding my sweet spot to be, that I'm actually streaming on a semi-regular basis. I think I only missed last Saturday, and that's when I got home from the whirlwind trip up north. And I was just kind of shot. But I think I've streamed now 6 out of the last 7 Saturdays. So for me to do that, I keeping it at an hour is my sweet spot. Now, am I going to stream every Saturday? I don't know. It really all depends on how I feel and what's going on at that time. But in any event, thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for listening while you're cleaning your garage, David and Joe. Thanks for listening while you're mowing the lawn. Keith, I appreciate you stopping in. If you guys have any questions, actually, you know what I should do? I should put if anyone's interested, I should put the 40% off code in the chat. I'll definitely update the show notes, but I will put the code in good until June 30th in the chat if anyone's interested in. I'll also have it in the actual, when I make the actual video as well. So good until 6/30/25. So before I sign off, it's just interesting. YouTube in general, I just find, well, YouTube and social media, I just find fascinating. So I released a short this week that I really hemmed and hawed about releasing. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just a network install that I did. I pre-wired the house back in, I think, October, and last week I went in, and because they closed yesterday, and I went in last week, and when I got home, in fact, that Friday, yeah, because I got home on Thursday night, and that Friday I went in and I installed the router and the 2 switches. The access points had already been installed during the trim out phase. All the cables were terminated and tested during the trim out. It was just, I don't like to put the network, the actual hardware in the AV cabinet until I know that all the contractors are out and the house is locked up until closing. So I just did a quick pan of the structured wiring cabinet with the, wire management and everything labeled. And it was like literally a 30-second short. And I hemmed and hawed about it. I was like, eh. And then finally I said, all right, let me post it. Well, on YouTube, in a 24-hour period, it has 2.4K views on YouTube. On TikTok, it has 6,380 views. And then on Twitter, not on Twitter, on Instagram, which I don't post much on Instagram, so I'm not surprised that the views are low, but on Instagram, it has 268 views. So 63 and 26, so let's just say round that off to 65 or 66, and then 2.4 on YouTube. 66, 86, 80, 9,000 views roughly. Who would have thunk it? Especially that was one that I was like kind of anticipating not releasing. But in any event, you never know with YouTube and social media. Thank you, Keith, for showing up. Here's the code. And on that note, everybody, I'm going to say thank you all so much for being here, joining me for an hour on this Saturday. Listen to me babble on and on. Until next time, check out the video coming out this week. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but there will be a video. That's it for now, guys. Adios.